Hi, Steve here. Welcome back to another edition of Big Board Guns. Today's question is, when I leave my home, should I carry a concealed weapon? Now, for many of you, the answer is going to come up really quick. You're going to say yes. If you're leaving your home, you need to be prepared to protect yourself and have some type of weapon with you to make sure you're safe and you're protecting yourself or the people that are important to your life. And that message gets perpetuated through the internet as you look and you see videos come up with their cards that say, "Don't leave your home without being armed. Make sure you have a gun with you when you walk out the door today." It's a pretty common message and something I see all the time on the internet. But let's take this conversation in a little more serious direction. Now, some of you right away are going to say, no, you're wrong. Stop. But I really want you to consider this very closely. Not everyone should conceal carry a weapon when they leave their house. And I think there's 5 questions every person should ask themselves before they decide if they're going to carry a concealed weapon out in public. So let's go over those 5 basic questions we're going to answer in this video. I'd really appreciate if you'd like or comment in this video. Let me know what you think about this. Let's go ahead and start out right now. Question number 1. Are you willing to take someone's life or cause serious physical injury in order to protect yourself or the people you care about? Now, for some people, the answer would be no. They're just not prepared to take that step. They haven't worked that process out in their mind. They haven't decided, yes, if I come in this situation, I'm willing to go ahead and do this. If you're one of those people and you think it's wrong to take someone's life to protect yourself, you probably should not be carrying a weapon with you out in public, because what are you going to do with that weapon? Are you going to carry it just because you watched a video and somebody told you you need to be armed to protect yourself? Make sure in your mind you know that you're willing to use it if you have to. Well, you might want to consider some other options. So I have 3 girls, and one of the things I always recommend to them is that they carry some mace. So they'll have some mace with them. And that's a very good self-defense tool in a lot of situations. It can get somebody away from you really quickly and give you the needed time just to get away from them. I'm reminded my stepbrother was out playing some basketball, and he's out on the courts, and he was approached by 2 gang members who decided to really harass him and give him a hard time. And as they approached and started threatening him, he pulled out his mace, he squirted them both in the face, and he beelined to his car. And he got away from them. So sometimes things like mace can help you out. Sometimes you can have something like, or these here. This is a flashlight. Something really simple. It's pretty bright if you flash in somebody's eyes. It can make them hesitate and give you a moment to get away. And this one here is a stun flashlight. So you can turn it on, give it an electric shock. And believe me, it's very intimidating when you hear this. Let me show you real quick here. So possibly that's another non-lethal option. Allows you to somewhat defend and protect yourself without having an actual firearm that you're not prepared to use. And then, of course, we've covered some non-lethal guns you can get. That might be another option for you. But there are other options besides a firearm. And maybe because you're unwilling to carry a concealed weapon, you're not prepared to actually use it, that might be a better option for you. Number 2, and often overlooked, are you trained to use the firearm you're planning to carry? Now, I'm not talking about I've bought a gun, I've gone to the range twice, and I'm ready now. I can shoot the gun, I can hit a target. I'm talking, are you mentally prepared and trained to do that? So I would suggest to you, if you've only gone to the range and shot a few shots, you need to go through some other type of training. Go to your range, ask them about classes they have on self-defense. Learn when you can and cannot shoot. Learn the importance of being able to identify your target. Looking around and seeing if there's other bystanders that might be in danger if you decide to fire that weapon. Remember, you're responsible if you decide to shoot for every bullet coming out of that gun. There's no, hey, wait a second, I didn't mean to. Every bullet that comes out. And so people potentially will shoot a lot of rounds because their adrenaline's pumping and they're trying to stop a threat. And every one of those rounds goes somewhere. And usually it's not needed. Usually a gunfight is 2 or 3 rounds are all that's needed. But typically a civilian that's not prepared will almost always unload that weapon. So go through some training. Learn when you can and can't use your firearm. Know how to stop that threat. And also how to analyze your situation. Is there other people that might get hurt that are innocent? How terrible would that be if you decided to protect yourself and you hurt somebody in your own family? But don't go out with a concealed weapon unless you're trained on how to use it and when you can use it. Otherwise, you're putting yourself and others around you in jeopardy. I remember quite a few years ago, I went on this call, and this particular subject had a Colt 45 ACP, flashing it around, and an officer approached him and he ran. Well, I was off duty at the time, but I heard the call come over the radio because I was actually out washing my patrol car. So I responded to the location to help out this officer. I went across this field, and as I came over this hill, I saw this guy draw out his 45, and my partner was standing right in front of him. Here I was faced with a difficult decision. He was right in front of me, and right in front of him was my partner. Could I safely shoot? No, because when that bullet went off, it was not only going to hit that person, it was going to hit my partner. The only thing between me and that guy was a small barbed wire fence. I ended up jumping over that short barbed wire fence on that guy's back and taking that firearm away from him, avoiding having to shoot him and protecting my partner who was standing right in front of him. So knowing when to shoot is important. You can quickly get into something much worse than you expected by drawing a gun if you don't understand when and how you can use it. Number 3, often overlooked. Do you have a way to secure that weapon? A lot of people just have their guns sitting on their nightstand or under their bed or under their mattress. And sometimes these houses that they live in, they have kids or they have people that visit. That gun is not properly secured. You need to have a way to secure your firearm. Accidents happen all the time where even children get shot because they get curious, they sneak off to a bedroom, and they find a gun. You need to be responsible and have that gun locked away somewhere where it's safe. Now, you can get a lot of different devices you can access quickly if you need to get to the firearm, but you need to have a way to secure that firearm. Another consideration is, so often when we hear about things like school shootings, it's typically a young person that has access to a gun where the person that owns that gun legally can carry and use that gun, and you need to control who accesses that. If that gun is used and you haven't secured it properly, chances are you will also be liable for that shooting. So please keep your guns locked away and secure and in a place where only you have access to. Also, if somebody breaks into your house, you don't want to make it easy for them to get a hold of your gun. So that's number 3. Do you have a way to secure your weapon? So if you don't, I don't think you should even have a weapon in your household unless you have a way to secure it properly. Okay, number 4 is getting kind of personal. And this is something you need to ask yourself. Are you easily angered? Do you get set off real quickly? Now, there's a lot of people in our society, especially in today's world, I've noticed it a lot more. And our society has gotten to a point where it's very, very different. There's a lot of people that feel very entitled. There's a lot of road rage today. I've been involved in several road rage situations. I can remember one time, I'm just driving down the road, and there's 2 cars in front of me. They're blocking both lanes, and they're not going the speed limit. So as I'm following behind, these 2 cars decide, hey, we're going to get in the left lane. So I went over to the right, and I passed both the cars that were not going the speed limit, and suddenly that triggered something in one of those drivers. As I look in my rearview mirror, here comes this guy at about 80 miles an hour onto my tail, goes in front of me, runs me off of the road, jumps out of his car, and starts screaming threats at me. I was just driving down the road. I wasn't speeding or doing anything wrong. I just went around him, and he got upset because I didn't want to stay behind these 2 cars. That can happen. So if you're easily angered and get upset easily and have a difficult time handling some type of a volatile situation, you shouldn't be armed, because chances are you're going to go for that gun. And that could be really bad for you if you weren't justified in that situation. The next question is, can you afford to buy a gun and the ammo? Because you need the right ammo, you need a gun you're proficient in before you decide to carry it concealed out in the public. So if you're not in that position, if you can only afford to get a really inexpensive gun that is not reliable, that could have issues. I know of guns that have blown up in people's hands because they just bought something expensive, or they bought something used and it was in poor condition. Not any gun is better than no gun. Sometimes any gun can cause problems for you. And maybe it's a gun you're not really comfortable with shooting. I encourage you, make sure you're able to get the right gun and the right type of ammo before you go out and buy one. So that's number 5. Are you able to get the right gun and the right ammo? If you're not, I encourage you not to get any. Save up, get something you're proficient in so you're not going to make a bad shoot sometime, and so you're prepared to fire that gun if you ever find it necessary to do so. Hey, here's the last one. I'll give you number 6 instead. Is, are you legally able to carry? Now, some people will say, constitutional carry, I carry everywhere I go, it doesn't really matter. So there's stores I walk into that have a sign that says no guns, I'm going to carry anyway. There's a person's house I'm going into that says they're not allowing guns, I'm going to carry anyway. Well, I'll advise you, if you have that strong of an opinion about it, don't go to those locations. Don't support them if they're anti-carry a gun into them. Because if you do carry it into there and you get stopped, you're the one that's going to be legally in trouble, not them. It's their place of business. They have a right to make that decision what they want to do. Your response should be, I'm not going to support you if you're doing that, or I'm going to give up some of those rights today to go ahead and go to that place. Constitutional carry doesn't apply in that situation. So I may have upset some of you, and some of you have some different ideas about how I just discussed. So I would encourage you to just leave your comments below. Tell me how you feel about what we've talked about. And maybe there's some situations you feel, hey, maybe I should carry, maybe I shouldn't carry. Hey, share those with us and share your thoughts. Well, I'd appreciate if you'd like or subscribe to my channel. Until I see you next time, I hope you have a great weekend, and thank you for watching here at Big Bore Guns.